Hi guys, welcome back, and today we're doing the next part for What If Tarble Went to Earth with Goku. Now, before we get into it, there's two things I want to bring up, but I'm doing the first one because it's not as relevant to this part as it is. I just want to say thank you everyone for getting me to 1k subs. I know I didn't upload a video thanking you all when it happened, and I want to do something to say thank you for doing it, but I don't really know what to do. I want to just do a little something, don't know what yet. So if anyone's got any suggestions, not something along the lines of a what if, unless of course someone has a really fun idea which I would enjoy, which would be enjoyable to watch and people want to see. Yeah, let me know if anyone has any ideas. Just something for getting me to 1k. And the next thing I want to bring up is I want to make a small change about the last part. So let's jump back to last part. We join back after the battle between the Great Apes. We see Goku having taken a lot more damage than he was letting on, with huge scorch marks on his arms, even a good chunk of flesh missing from one of his arms, with him standing nearby the children, protecting them, with him not protecting them from Vegeta this time, but in fact defending them from Raditz, who woke up after hearing a lot of roaring, crying, and a few thuds. Seeing his brother in a much weaker state, he headed over to him and began to beat into him. Raditz is in much better condition than Goku right now, so he has the advantage. With him trying to get to the kids to beat them up and even kill them, Goku stands in the way, making sure that he never gets anywhere near them. Goku defending the kids with everything he has to make sure that Raditz will, not hurt them. Eventually, after beating into his brother, Raditz does get bored and decides to send a massive blast towards his brother, with Goku knowing that if this attack hits the kids, they will surely die. So Goku stands there, using his body as a shield, wrapping his arms around both his son and his niece, and smiles at the two kids, telling them well done for getting so strong on their own, with the attack hitting Goku, and him stood there smiling, hovering over them just a little bit longer, before he falls to the ground, lifeless. All the battle damage he had taken was just too much, on top of the blast he just taken. Goku did fall from this. Everyone nearby who can sense Ki senses the death of Goku, and all remaining Z fighters swarm Raditz, with them all not giving the Saiyan a chance to breathe, with Emma landing a killing blow on Raditz after a few minutes of them all beating him quite heavily. With Enma now enraged, he turns to go get Vegeta, but as he turns, he sees the Saiyan's pod leaving the atmosphere, with him cursing before calming down and grabbing hold of his brother's body, which is still being currently clutched on by a crying Gohan, who is stood there trying to do anything to bring back his father, but nothing really happens here. With this small change done, I want to jump forward. Now, we left the last part with everyone mourning the death of Goku, and after a day's rest, they all begin to collect the Dragon Balls. On their trip of collecting the Dragon Balls, everyone is contacted by Kami, with this confusing the group. Kami goes on to explain how Goku is currently in Otherworld, and he's actually heading off to train under some great master of the Otherworld. With him wanting to do this so he can be ready in case the Saiyans ever come back, or some other threat was to ever show up. Goku having caught wind of some monster out in space who is hundreds of times stronger than the Saiyans they just fought, so he thought it would be best to be ready to fight them. With everyone hearing this, they are scared. Kami does go on to say that Goku did leave a message for them, and he's going to let them know what it was. Hey guys, sorry about this, but from what I heard, there's a person out there much worse than the likes of Vegeta. If he was to come to Earth, I wouldn't be sure if we could stop him if he's as strong as people are making him out to be. Now, I'm heading off to this master so I can defend my family and friends a lot better, but also to get stronger. This might be a chance to push ahead of you, younger bro, implying Enma. And also, if I get strong enough to fight this guy, I may be able to have a good sparring match out of it. But you guys should get to training too. Who knows if this person is to show up while I'm in Otherworld, but at the same time he may never show up. It's just better to play it safe for now. I'll contact you when I get to this new master's house. I've got to go. Got a long run ahead of me. After hearing this, everyone is in disbelief, but they understand Goku is saying there is a person a lot stronger than anyone they fought so far, so at a minimum they should get stronger than the Saiyans. Alongside this, they understand that Goku will be pushing ahead of them quite a lot if he's training in Otherworld. From what Kami said, this master is very good, so he will overtake them quite heavily, so they are making sure that they can keep up with their friend. With Enma and Gohan feeling really lost, after all, this is the first time in their entire lives they have been away from Goku, so they don't really know how to feel about it. But they are happy to hear that Goku is okay, and probably loving the fact he gets to train under someone. With them telling Chi-Chi what happened, she's also happy to hear her husband is okay, and heading off to make sure that he can defend the planet and everyone she loves and cares about better. And after all, both Enma and Goku have saved up a lot of money in this time from world tournaments, so the only reason she would be angry is that he's gone for so long. She would probably look past this. After all, it's not like Goku has really disappeared before. He showed up during the 1 year of training for the Saiyans, he was there for the full 5 years. He's been quite present recently, so him missing for a few months probably wouldn't bother her too much. And with this being said, Chi-Chi looks over to her brother-in-law. After hearing the news of Goku training in Otherworld, she asks Enma a favour. With Enma confused at what she wants to ask, he does want to hear her out. Chi-Chi goes on to explain how, after hearing how Gohan headed off to the battlegrounds the other day, she was wondering if he could train up Gohan so he can defend himself in case he ever does something so stupid again. With Enma kind of taken aback by this, understanding that Chi-Chi didn't want Gohan to train, but Chi-Chi also seems to want Gohan to be able to defend himself. After all, it's sort of Gohan and Hisame's fault that Goku died, however Chi-Chi doesn't phrase it like this. She just wants to make sure that her family is a little bit more safer. Now, Enma does agree to this, and he only agrees on the terms that Gohan wants to train. After all, the child shouldn't have to do anything he doesn't want to do. With Gohan wanting to do this, after all, he never wants to be a burden again. Alongside him, Hisame wants to train under her father as well, and once he runs it by his wife, Suno agrees to let both children train under Enma. So Enma takes up training both kids, and for the next few months, Enma takes up training the kids. However, I'm going to be leaving the Earth lot for a little while, and we're jumping over to Goku, who is currently in the middle of running Snake Way. With this not being difficult for Goku as it was in canon, keep in mind Goku here is a lot stronger, so this would only probably take him a day of short running, with him not having to stop along the way. He does make it to King Kai's planet and begins to start his training under the Kai, with him completing the first few steps of his training fast, things like catching Bubbles and Gregory, after adapting to the gravity much faster. Now, for the most part, he doesn't really struggle with any of the training. Now, I'm going to jump forward 6 months, with the likes of Enma, Gohan and Hisame under some intense training with one another. After the two hybrids had gotten some proper training, they had begun to grow incredibly fast, with them learning how to use their ki, and also learning how to do a lot of techniques that both their fathers could do. Now, alongside this, Gohan had still been studying, with Hisame actually also starting to study. Not anywhere near as much as Gohan, but she's also interested in the thought of going to school and making friends. So she thought if she can just study and get enough knowledge to make it into a school, she wants to do it. Now, after 6 months of training, the three Saiyans are shocked to see the sky turn dark all of a sudden, before turning back to normal. The likes of Gohan and Hisame are confused by this, but Enma knows that means Shenron had just been summoned, and he tells the kids to follow him, with the three heading up to Kami's lookout. There's something they can sense up there, but they can't quite put their finger on it. After a short travel, they see the sight of Goku standing there, scratching his head. He looks over to his family and laughs, saying, "It was supposed to be a surprise when I returned, you know." With Gohan flying towards his father, knocking him to the floor, and hugging him, with Goku hugging his son back, with Enma also happy to see his older brother. He asks what is he doing back, with Goku going on to say how he completed the training ages ago. He was just getting a bit of a better mastery under some techniques he learned. Also, the planet there had a 10 times gravity, so it was really good training. With Enma sensing how strong his brother is, he can tell that he is holding back quite a lot. But he does ask for his brother to show off his full power. With Goku agreeing to do this, he tells his family to stand back. He doesn't want to knock them around a little bit too much. Goku begins to let out all of his energy, sending a massive wave of energy bouncing off him, with his power continuing to grow before stopping massively ahead everyone on Earth, with Enma realizing for the first time ever his older brother had surpassed him. Now, just to give you an idea of where Goku is, I've put Goku at a power level of 276,000. Gave him the same multiplier increase he got in canon, and I probably could have given it. I gave him a little bit more as well, but I probably could have given him quite a bit more because he got a lot more training in. But for the most part, his training was very good. With everyone on Earth shocked by his power, all the Earthlings who can sense energy, being all the Z fighters, begin to head up to Kami's lookout, recognizing that energy is Goku's, but so impressed by how much stronger it got. Goku's interest now curious. He asked his family to show off their full power. After all, he wants to know how their training was doing. With Enma looking over to the kids and telling them to go all out, the kids having a smile on their face, they all go up to their maximum power, with all three showing off their full power. Enma is at a power level of 149,000. Gohan is at a power level of 50,000, and Hisame is at a power level of 45,000. With these powers impressing Goku, after all, they didn't have the same luxuries as he did with, higher levels of gravity. And this makes Goku's family proud that they were still keeping up with him. And Goku catches up with his son for a few minutes before the likes of the rest of the Z Fighters arrive. Happy to see that their friend's back, they all begin to ask questions, asking how did he get so strong, what techniques did he learn, what's the afterlife like. Keep in mind, none of them have died here, so this is all very weird and interesting to them. With Goku giving some explanations, explaining how he had a higher gravity threshold than they did. He also learned some pretty interesting techniques, but he doesn't want to show them off right now. And Otherworld's kind of boring, other than the fact there's loads of strong people there. That was pretty cool. But after this quick catch-up, Goku goes on to explain how he would like to head home to see his wife. With everyone understanding this, the Sunbros and their children head back to their home. With them arriving after a short flight, Chi-Chi is very excited to see her husband again, with the family having a big meal to celebrate this. With life on Earth returning to normal, with the likes of Hisame and Gohan continuing their training under Goku and Enma. With this happening for another 3 months, time is peaceful during this short period. However, one day a familiar pod comes crashing into Earth. Everyone recognizes the power of Vegeta, but something seems off about it. It seems like it's dropping quite dramatically. Not in a way like he's hiding his power, in a way like he's dying. Everyone heads over to where the crash is, and they arrive to see the pod door not open yet. Goku walks down, being the strongest of the group, and rips open the door. An injured Vegeta falls out of the pod, with the Saiyan seeming to be unconscious. Goku is confused and looks over to everyone, who are equally as confused as him. But this confusion doesn't last long, as soon 2 energies follow the prince, with these pods landing not too far away from where Vegeta landed, and everyone peeks over to see what's happening, with 2 aliens coming out of the pods. Both of the aliens wearing similar armor to Vegeta, and one of the aliens actually turning on his scouter, which everyone hears thanks to the loud beeping it makes, and he picks up some powers around Vegeta. With the likes of the aliens making a calm approach towards the group, they introduce themselves as Zarbon and Dodoria, both coming off as very friendly at first, with Zarbon explaining how they are here to collect that Saiyan for disobeying their master and causing a lot of trouble out in space. If they would be so kind to pass him over, they won't harm anyone or anything on this planet. With no one really taking this threat too well. With Enma sitting up, walking towards them, saying if they plan on hurting anything or anyone on this planet, they will have to deal with them. With this making the 2 aliens laugh. After all, this is a backwards planet. They shouldn't have any really strong fighters. After all, the scouter says these guys are really... And then Zarbon stops. He begins to look really confused and scared, with the scouter beeping loudly as it continues to grow higher and higher. Zarbon reads out a number of 200,000, making Dodoria's face drop. And Zarbon and Dodoria begin to apologise for threatening them, and also saying how they would tell them anything they want to know, just don't kill us. With Enma laughing, he asks what they mean by master. Zarbon gives information about Frieza, with Goku recognising this as the monster King Kai told him about. And Enma then goes on to ask why are they after Vegeta. Only giving a really short answer, they explain how he had been causing some issues amongst Frieza's army, even killing a few high-up soldiers. So Zarbon and Doria were told to kill the prince. With Enma being happy that these 2 have told the truth, he tells the 2 to leave the planet and to never show back up. With them shocked at the mercy that a random person showed, They begin to leave the planet, however Zarbon makes a small notice as he leaves. He sees the tail on Emma and Goku's backs, and puts together that these two are also Saiyans. And when they leave, they send a call out to Frieza to let him know what had just happened, with Zarbon saying how he believes there is two other Saiyans alive on that planet. Frieza is interested. He decides that he'll be heading to Earth to meet this super strong Saiyan, and also to meet what the last few of this race look like. And of course, to finish off Vegeta, but he might bring the Ginyu Force along. He doesn't really want to get his hands dirty. If these guys are as strong as they said they are, at least Ginyu should be able to put up a fight. Now, back on Earth, everyone looks at the dying Vegeta, unsure of what to do with him. With it being clear he will die soon if left unsaved, everyone is thinking that it would probably be best to let the Saiyan die. They are all wanting to just let him die. After all, what he did when he came to Earth is monstrous. But Goku speaks up saying how it might be a good idea to save him, to learn more about this Frieza guy. Goku goes on to explain how he knows only a little bit about Frieza. King Kai taught him a little bit, and from what he hears, he's a monster. So having Vegeta around to give them a bit more information might not be a bad idea. With everyone shocked at Goku's thinking and maturity right now, they reluctantly agree. They understand that Goku's logic is pretty sound, and they all begin to rush off towards Capsule Corp, taking Vegeta with them. With Emma telling the kids to head home and tell their mothers what's happened, and the kids agree, they head off that way while the others head over to Bulma's house. Upon arrival, Bulma is shocked to see what apparently is Vegeta, but after a quick explanation, she does begin to give some medical attention. Quite reluctantly and not very safely, she does make sure she hurts the prince a little bit while doing this. But she does end up saving his life, with everyone waiting around Capsule Court for the next few days for the prince to wake up. With him coming to a few days after his rescue, with him being confused where he is, until he hears the likes of Goku and Enma walking into his room. With Vegeta originally trying to stand up and fight, he suddenly feels pain all the way throughout his body, and he suddenly remembers what happened. He is very vulnerable right now, and he shouts out what happened to the two people who he was sure were following him, with Enma saying how he scared them off. And Vegeta is very confused. After all, these two were a lot weaker than him last time he was here. He pauses for a second. Didn't Raditz kill Kakarot? With him saying this out loud, he looks over to the two, with both of them sort of giving a worried look. After all, they didn't think Vegeta would have known. So he just sort of stands there confused. Two Sunbros aren't the best liars, but they do come up with something very fast, both saying how he didn't die, he was just left in a very bad state and it took him a while to heal back up. With Vegeta not believing this, he goes quiet and is now not sure what to think of these two. But the two Sunbros do get to asking questions, with them asking Vegeta what is he doing back on the planet. Vegeta goes on to explain how he had no intentions of coming back to this planet until he was the Emperor of the Universe, the legendary Super Saiyan. But after getting jumped by Zarbon and Dodoria, he, during the battle, managed to escape the battle and climbed into his pod. Pretty injured, he just hit some coordinates in, and the ship took him to one of his last planets he visited, with the pod bringing him here. After hearing this, Goku begins to ask Vegeta some questions about Frieza, with Goku giving all the information he knows about Frieza to the prince. Vegeta asking how does he know so much, Goku goes on to explain how, well, someone he trained under gave him some information about him, plus the two people that showed up to their planet the other day got some information out of them as well. With Vegeta shocked and really confused right now, he doesn't really want to give any information. However, by using the ability he has to sense ki, which is still not very well mastered, he can get a read on both the power of Goku and Emma, who are both stronger than him right now. Vegeta believes that these two might have the power to take down Frieza if they were to work together. And he goes on to give a little bit of information about Frieza, and eventually gives a lot more. Him sharing the information about how the Saiyans lived under Frieza's boot for years in fear of his insaneness. He was just crazy. But after saying all of this, Vegeta goes on to explain how he will be the one to defeat Frieza. After all, he will become the legendary Super Saiyan. He's the royal, he is the elite. With Goku sort of brushing this off, he just ignores this. Goku is sort of beginning to trust Vegeta, After his explanation, it seems like the Saiyans weren't as bad as they first let on, as it might have just been them trying to live and not get killed by Frieza. Not saying this out loud, this is just his own thought. He also thinks that if Vegeta was to train with them, he would probably get strong enough to be able to defeat the Tyrant. After all, he can't be that strong. Vegeta is very strong, one of the strongest people he's ever fought. And if Frieza's stronger than those two that came to Earth a while ago, it's not that much difference between them. But he also understands that Frieza is a tyrant who lives out in space destroying planets for fun. So he also understands not to underestimate him. Goku is about to make a suggestion to Vegeta, however he is contacted by King Kai, who is in a bit of a panic. Goku is trying to figure out what's up with King Kai, but the Kai begins to explain how it seems Frieza's on his way to Earth right now, and he'll be there in a month. With Goku shocked to hear this, he visibly shows fear. With Emma asking what is wrong, Goku gives a quick rundown of what he just heard. With Emma and Vegeta hearing this, they understand the fear on Goku's face. Goku goes on to explain how, if Vegeta wants, they can heal him up right now, but he has to promise they'll help in this fight. With Emma not being sure about this, after all Vegeta was only here 9 months ago and he was destroying the planet, but he understands that if Frieza is as powerful as everyone has made out him to be right now, it might be useful to have the extra Saiyan. With Vegeta agreeing to do this, Goku tosses the Prince of Senzu Bean, getting him fully healed and getting a Zenkai. With Vegeta throwing some punches in the air, he feels more powerful than ever, with him turning towards his other two Saiyans, and for a moment he considers fighting them and escaping. However, he senses their energy and it's just completely out of his league, so he thinks it's best to follow his, promise right now and try and backstab them later. With Goku rushing out of the room to let his friends know what's happening, he explains to them that how Emma will give them more detail, but a quick rundown is that monster I told you to prepare about is coming, before flying off. With everyone nervous and confused, eventually Emma and Vegeta walk out of the building, with everyone being confused at why Vegeta's up, but Emma soon goes on to explain what happened. With everyone shocked, they believe that it's time to start training, with the Earthlings wanting to head off with the Saiyans to train. However, Emma goes on to whisper into one of their ears that it's best to leave us with Vegeta, because if he's to do anything funny and kill one of you, we're already at a disadvantage, so just train with one another. With Vegeta hearing this, it wasn't too subtle, but it was a good idea, and the Earthlings head off together to get some training in. With Emma telling Vegeta to follow him, with all of them heading off towards their houses, with them arriving a little bit after Goku, who is currently talking to both Suno and Chi-Chi, explaining the situation. Suno immediately understands the issue and does understand that maybe Hisame might be needed. However, Chi-Chi for a moment wants to say no. Just Goku suggesting the thought is horrendous, but she looks over to her son, who has already put on his gi and is getting ready to head off to get some training to help fight in the battle against Frieza. With her putting on a brief smile, she says to her husband and her son to be safe. She wanted to say, Goku, look after Gohan, but she already knows that Goku will do this. She gives both of them a hug as they are about to leave. Over with Hisame, Suno and Emma, it's clear Suno understands that it'll help in the battle if her daughter is there. After all, she's powerful, she's one of the strongest people on Earth. She doesn't say much, she just tells her husband to look after their daughter. Emma, knowing to do this, they head off, heading into an abandoned wasteland, getting ready to train. With Vegeta standing by, getting ready to train. When all of them arrive, Vegeta is caught up on what they'll be doing. During this time, they will be training mostly Hisame, Gohan and Vegeta to try and catch up with their level. That's Emma and Goku's plan. After all, if they're all around the same level, they can just dogpile Frieza. With Vegeta being taught how to hide his energy and also sense ki fully, with him finding out the difference between himself and Kakarot, even Tarble is miles ahead of him. During this time of training, Vegeta doesn't really get close to anyone. He keeps his distance. The only person he can mildly tolerate is Enma, and that's because that's his brother, and even then he really hates the guy. Well, not hates, but he just doesn't like him. But during this time, Vegeta does give a bit of information about the Super Saiyan and things like this. He is warming up to the group by the end of it. Probably the last few days he warms up to them a little bit, but it's not enough. During this whole time, he really didn't get on with anyone. But other than that, nothing else really happens during this time. So let's jump forward to the day of Frieza's arrival. First of all, let's cover some power levels and then we'll get into it all. Goku has a power level of 450,000. Following behind him is Enma with a power level of 320,000. Alongside that, there's Hisame and Gohan, who share the same power level of 275,000. Vegeta staggers along behind at a power level of 210,000. Above him is Krillin and Tien with a power level of 220,000. And below them is a Yamcha with a power level of 200,000. The Earthlings are only outclassing Vegeta by a bit, thanks to the fact they got a lot more training than he did. They got full 10 months, he only got 1 month, so it worked together that they just got a lot stronger than him. So on the day of the attack, everyone gathers around the power they can sense coming into the atmosphere. They can sense an extra 5 power levels, which are relatively strong. Vegeta figuring out this to be the Ginyu Force, he gives an explanation of what their powers are and who they are. This being enough information for everyone to work off, they are all ready. Now, when Frieza arrives, everyone can sense his energy and understands how much of a threat he is. With Vegeta standing out in front of the group, Frieza spots him, and he's happy to see that he's alive. However, Frieza also notices that Enma looks a lot like Vegeta. That's strange. Maybe they are related. These monkeys are all very close. But he doesn't think too much of it, other than this small thought. Using his scouter, he picks up only a few small power levels, with this confusing Zarbon and Dodoria. But I guess maybe it was a fault with the scouters? Frieza does consider that maybe they can hide their power, but no, that's silly. With Frieza introducing himself to the group, with everyone seeming to know him, but he does offer them one small lifeline. Hand over the prince, and I'll let you all live. And you know what? I might even offer you a spot in my army. Some of you have relatively high powers, and also, from the looks of it, there's 2 extra monkeys I could hire. I am short on them. But everyone accepts this, actually all openly rejecting this idea. With Frieza annoyed, he tells his men to head off and start destroying the planet, and tells the Ginyu Force to deal with the people in front of him, only leave Vegeta. After all, it would be fitting for him to kill off the entire Vegeta bloodline. But Vegeta says something stupid during this, that he isn't the last of the royal blood, with Vegeta pointing over to Enma saying that's his brother, a Saiyan elite, and alongside him he points to Hisame, that's the next generation of Saiyan royalty. Frieza is confused, but nods in agreement, with him realising he might need to finish off the bloodline before it can breed anymore. Giving the Ginyu Force new orders to avoid everyone but those 3, the young girl nervously chuckles, but she does take a fighting stance, with Enma turning towards Vegeta telling him he's an idiot, now they're going after Hisame. Goku looks over to his brother, telling him that he will deal with the Ginyu Force alongside Gohan. They'll fight Frieza and they'll join in soon. The Earthlings have already headed off to deal with all of Frieza's soldiers who left a minute ago, and they said they'll show back up whenever they can, but there's a lot of Frieza soldiers. Now, I'm not going to waste too much time. The Earthlings deal with every Frieza soldier very easy, but they will show up when I feel like it was appropriate for them to have been able to stop all of them. The first battle I'm actually going to cover a little bit is the likes of Goku and Gohan versus the Ginyu Force. This fight is very easy for the 2 Son family members, with Gohan managing to deal with the likes of Guldo and Raccoon, and Goku takes on Ginyu, Jace and Berta, both being able to just quickly do a quick flurry of attacks and disappear in front of everyone and knock them all down. And within a few seconds they are all pretty much defeated. It's around this point that Frieza figures out that the group can hide their energy, so whatever he picks up right now on the scouter isn't accurate. Frieza did manage to catch a very high power level of 200,000 during that clash, but Frieza is surprised. He asks Vegeta to show off his full power. He's assuming that he also knows how to do this stupid trick. Vegeta does so, showing off his full power. Frieza is amused, and even gets out of his chair to give Vegeta the fight he wants so desperately, with the Prince explaining how he'll be dealing with Frieza alone, with Enma and Hisame trying to tell him that he will need help. However, they just ignore him, with Goku and Gohan joining their other 2 family members during this time. And let's just cut to the chase. Vegeta isn't able to do anything against the tyrant, who is currently just toying with the Prince. It eventually leads to Vegeta getting beat around and slammed into the ground. Frieza puts his foot on his head and gets ready to put a death beam through him. However, Gohan shouts out to Frieza, with Frieza looking over to Gohan, the small Saiyan, and laughs, asking what does the child want. With Gohan not wanting to see someone else die, even though it's Vegeta, he shouts out for Frieza to leave Vegeta alone. With Frieza amused by this, he aims his death beam away from Vegeta, telling the child, "Oh, what are you going to do about it? Stop me?" Before hearing a shout of "No, but I will," feeling a punch land across his face, Frieza turns to see Tien, who has already finished defeating his Frieza soldiers. Joined the battle after seeing that Vegeta was in a bit of trouble. It's not that he likes Vegeta, but he just saw an opening to land an attack, so he took it. Frieza was surprisingly hurt by this attack, and he immediately goes to kill Tien for, surprise attacking him like that. However, before he even gets a chance to move, he's fully charged at and attacked by Goku. With the Emperor staggering backwards, someone else comes over Goku's body, and another attack is followed up by Enma. With the two brothers comboing off each other perfectly, they've trained with each other all their lives, this is nothing for them. Alongside this, Hisomi and Gohan are jumping in to land hits, blasting Frieza from a distance, and eventually Frieza powers up, knocking everyone back with his energy, except Goku, who manages to stick his ground a little bit. With him beginning to transform to make the power difference so much more dramatic, he wants to kill this group with ease now. He's just fed up of this. But to his surprise, when he fully transformed, everyone sticks their ground. No one runs. Even the humans are up and ready to fight. During the clash between the Sun family and Frieza, Krillin did give Vegeta a senzu bean, who is now back up and got a small Zenkai, put him around the same level as Hisomi and Gohan. Everyone unsure of how much stronger Frieza has gotten, they eventually feel the final power of his second form, and everyone is shocked and surprised, unsure of if they'll be able to even hurt this guy. However, one person isn't deterred. Everyone soon sees Goku fly towards Frieza, and just before getting in front of Frieza, the Saiyan shouts out Kaioken. Following this, the Saiyan's aura bursts into a bright red, and everyone is confused by what just happened. Everyone other than Emma, who had seen Goku training in the form a while ago, and Goku had even tried to teach his brother it, but for the most part he's having a hard time. Goku gets up close and personal with the Tyrant, and is beginning to outclass him very heavily. Goku is only having to use his Kaioken times 3, which is helping him overpower him. With this happening, the group feel very confident that they can probably win this. However, they can sense Frieza's power ever increasing. It's clear that the Emperor is wanting to transform, but Goku just isn't giving him a chance to do it. Goku, after a short few clashes, is beginning to feel the effect of the Kaioken. He wants to take a break and drop out of the form, but he needs an opening. Luckily, all the Z fighters, including Vegeta, swarm the Emperor when they see that Goku needed a break. Vegeta didn't do it to save Goku just because he saw an opening. With Goku jumping back, he gets given a senzu bean by Krillin, and everyone else is holding off Frieza, who is having an easier time with all of them than he was against Goku because they're all significantly weaker than him. However, thanks to the fact they are working together, they are just keeping his attention well enough. Krillin giving Goku a senzu bean is thanked by Goku, before turning his attention back to Frieza. Goku says that he can tell Frieza isn't at his full power yet, and if they let him transform again, they don't know how much stronger he will get. But if they can buy Goku some time, he has a plan, and this attack probably should kill him. Probably. With Krillin saying, of course, before flying back into the battle, Goku puts his hands into the air and begins to collect some energy for the Spirit Bomb. Goku's going to go for the one-handed option, knowing that it will probably be easier for him to pull together, and also it'll be the one he's got a bit more experience with. So he begins to charge up energy. Frieza does notice this, but just ignores it. After all, he's in a fight where if he doesn't pay attention, some major blows will be landed. The group don't stand much of a chance individually, but thanks to the fact they've all just decided to dogpile him, it's quite easy. After a few minutes of everyone just beating into Frieza and avoiding major attacks, and after this time's up, everyone suddenly hears, "It's done." With Krillin knowing this is to be the signal, he tells everyone to move out of the way. Everyone jumps off this dogpile on Frieza, even Vegeta jumps away, believing it'd be the best idea to not get caught up in whatever attack's about to be thrown, which is probably a good way to think about it, because the moment everyone leaves, Frieza sees a light blue ball coming straight towards him, and within a few seconds, the Spirit Bomb made connection with him. However, the group didn't realise that this might be the worst mistake they've made. You see, after everyone jumped away, they had actually taken a lot more damage than they even realised. Frieza, however, was still relatively good. Upon making contact with the Spirit Bomb, he catches it and slowly begins to transform up to his third form. Frieza, after a few seconds, is in his third form and easily outpowers the Spirit Bomb. Right now, everyone is shocked, scared, and amazed. Goku was fairly certain that that attack should have done it, but he managed to transform. Not that Frieza had the power to outmatch the Spirit Bomb, it was more the fact that Goku was underestimating Frieza thanks to the fact he was in his second form. Goku didn't gather enough energy to defeat his third form. Once this is done, everyone sort of panics. However, they all do go back into the fight, but Frieza is holding them off so much easier now. Even with the addition of Goku, who can hold a Kaioken up to 10 times, he's fairly certain that he's the best bet they've got. But Goku is still going to start feeling the effects of the Kaioken soon. Eventually, Frieza is beginning to outpower everyone and winning very easily. At some point, Frieza manages to knock away a lot of the group, putting the Earthlings on the floor, who are pretty much out of commission, being the weakest of the group. Vegeta, Hisame and Gohan are hardly keeping it up. Enma is only in the fight thanks to his coordination with Goku, and Goku's only in the fight thanks to his Kaioken. It's a lot of difficult work. Now, after a short war clash, eventually Goku is put to the floor. Krillin is heading over to try and give him whatever senzu beans they have left. He's trying healing up the people he knows could turn the tide of the fight, but this just leaves Enma in a battle against Frieza. For the first time in Enma's life, an opponent is outclassing him massively. It's not like the battle against Vegeta, where if he worked together with his brother, he would have won. This is a complete other different matter. He's so out of his own league. For the first time in his life, he's weak. And he hates this. He can't defend the people he loves. He can't defend this planet he loves. He's just getting angry and angry. Eventually, Hisame and Gohan do pull themselves off the ground, and they both take a fighting stance, getting ready to join back into the fight. Hisame with her father, Gohan with his uncle. Krillin is still heading over towards Goku to get him a senzu bean, knowing he is the best bet they currently have, with Vegeta also needing a senzu quite bad. But the two children are stood up, ready to go. And Frieza begins to get bored and begins to pick off some people. He charges up a death beam, and the first one is aimed towards Tien. Tien hit him hard earlier, and Frieza hasn't forgotten. Luckily, the Earthling has enough movement in him to be able to dodge the attack, and thankfully he's fine, but he was grazed. Seeing this, Enma realises that Frieza is going to kill now, and charges at him, but is grabbed and held up into the air, while he starts choosing who to kill next. Playing a bit of an eeny meeny miny mo game, but he knows where he wants to shoot. He aims towards Hisame. He charges up a death beam and shoots it straight towards Hisame. Enma, who is currently unable to do anything, Gohan, who is powerless to do anything, and Hisame, who is frozen in fear. This whole combination leads to this attack connecting. Hisame is murdered in this very moment. And for a moment, Gohan snaps. The first time we'll see his rage boost throughout this entire series. And Gohan charges straight towards Frieza. Enma, who is in shock and also in such anger, but Gohan's anger kicked him first. Gohan flies towards Frieza, landing multiple hits and eventually knocking him to the ground, charging up a massive Kamehameha and blasting the Emperor with it. This does serious damage, but Frieza does come out of this on top. Looking towards the kid, he disappears and reappears in front of Gohan, smacking him into the ground next to his father using his tail. Frieza then turns over to Enma, who's been very quiet, and suddenly Enma begins to make the whole ground shake. He begins cursing at Frieza, he begins swearing to the gods, he begins crying. He's so angry, he's done, he's had enough. And with all of this, the power of the Super Saiyan is awakened. Everyone who can sense Enma's energy is amazed. Frieza, however, can't sense this and just believes this to be nothing major. However, when Enma disappears and reappears in front of Frieza, landing a massive hammer arm on him, Frieza realises that this might be more than he can handle. Immediately, he wants to transform, but Enma just doesn't give him a break, beating into the tyrant, not giving him a second, getting ready to kill him, and eventually, he puts Frieza at a point where he can be murdered. Unlike his brother, who maybe would have given him a second chance. Emma isn't willing to here. His daughter was killed. Without a second thought, Frieza is deleted off the face of the earth, leaving a massive crater where Emma fired. Eventually, Emma does calm down, dropping out of the Super Saiyan form, and the battle was won at the cost of Hisame. And immediately, Emma begins to fully cry. Even Gohan and Goku begin to cry. But they also know that she can be revived, which is what Goku is saying to try and comfort his brother. But Emma already knows he's going to have to wait 8 months to bring her back, with this really destroying the victory. Vegeta hears about the fact that people can be brought back, but doesn't pry too much into it. He's in shock at seeing the Super Saiyan, especially being his own brother. And after this, everyone collects themselves and heads home. Enma sharing the bad news with his wife, and Suno breaking into tears. The family is very destroyed by this. Even Goku, Gohan, and Chi-Chi are all very, heartbroken by this. But Kami contacts them, saying how he's currently with the small girl in Otherworld. He'll be keeping her company until they can figure out what to do, but he might already have a plan. Just let me know whenever you're ready to speak. And this is where I'm leaving this part. Everything was alright, and I sort of changed this part very last minute. It was something I just wanted to do. I hope everyone prefers this way, and I know you won't get to know the other way, but I do hope people enjoy. I hope everyone has a great day or a good night, and like I said at the start, if you have any suggestions for a special, 1000 special, please let me know. I'd love to do something for it, but I just don't know what. But like I said, have a good one. See you next time.